Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me here at the First Alert Desk. My name's Karli Barnett. We want to give you a look at some of the stories that we are following for your Sunday. In just a few minutes, we're going to have First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin come up here to give you a look at your forecast ahead for the week. We know a lot of you may be starting back school this week, but he's also keeping an eye on the tropics as well. He will have an update on Tropical Storm Debby, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I did want to give you a look at what we know so far about certain stories that we're following right now and a look ahead to tonight. So this is one that we are just now getting details about here in the Atlanta News First newsroom. What I'm showing you right now is some raw video. This is right from our videographer's cameras. They were on the scene today after police were investigating a man found dead in Decatur, and that's according to DeKalb County Police. Officers were called out to the 4100 block of Glenwood Road. That's actually a large residential area. It was just before 2 o'clock in the afternoon. They say they found a victim with several gunshot wounds on the side of the road. Detectives were called to the scene. At this point, this is still very early on in this investigation. The victim has not been identified. They have not given any possible suspects in this case. As you can see, this is right near a bus stop, and we're told this is a very busy, very residential area. So we're going to continue to stay on top of this and bring you any new details. DeKalb County Police out there investigating right now to try to figure out what happened and what ultimately led to this person's death. All we know at this point is that they had several gunshot wounds. So you can continue to stay on top of this story on atlantanewsfirst.com. It's also a good opportunity to go ahead and download our Atlanta News First app. That way you can get breaking news updates sent directly to your phone. And so that way, as we learn any new updates, you will learn those right along with us as well. And a quick programming note, I'll go ahead and just take you back out here live. You can join us tonight at 6:30 on WANF and 11 o'clock there as well. You can also join us at 10 o'clock on Peachtree TV. You can watch us on TV, streaming, or however you get Atlanta News First news. Now, speaking of school starting back this week, there were a lot of concerned parents in Dunwoody. This after the air conditioning apparently not working at Kingsley Elementary School. Again, this is just some raw footage that our videographer just shot of the school. And as we know, we are just now starting the school year. And because we're starting the school year so early, it is still so hot. We are still right in the thick of summer right now. But Kingsley Elementary parents and their children received a not so great welcome. They said it was a little bit too warm when they showed up for their open house this week. The open house events are for parents and their children to meet their teachers, get ready for the upcoming year. And a mother at the school said employees were directing everyone to the gym because that was the only place, they told them, with air conditioning. This mother had told Atlanta News First that it was 90 degrees in the hallway. The classrooms were 85 to 90 degrees. She said the air conditioning was out as early as July 15th. That was the start of kindergarten camp. But an email from the PTO co-president said that the issues began actually in the spring of this year, with the first day of school approaching August 5th. That is tomorrow. District officials say they are scrambling now to address the problem. We reached out to spokesperson Donald Porter, who told us that temporary cooling measures are needed while the school system waits for the HVAC parts. This mother said that Porter's statement aligns with what the other district officials were telling school staff and their families. But she said that basically they just attribute it to the fact that the building is old. It's about 50 years old, and that's actually the original AC unit, which means they're having a hard time supposedly finding the parts. So actually replacing the HVAC at this building has been on the district's radar since 2021, according to a preliminary consultation the district received that year. Superintendent Devin Horton replied to an email from Kingsley PTO co-president Laura Roberts on August 1st. The email noted, quote, "This has been an ongoing issue since spring 2024, at which time temperatures in some classrooms exceeded 80 degrees and forced teachers to move to different areas of campus so that they could teach comfortably." And Horton acknowledged the problem, says the district is working on it. At this point, we still don't have any timeline for this. We don't know what this is going to mean for the start of school tomorrow. But again, this is something that we will continue to keep you updated on. And as always, Atlanta News First is your home for everything you need to know back to school, whether it's school supply drives happening across Metro Atlanta, whether it's the dates that your children are going back to school. You definitely need to know those. We have you covered. And again, A very warm welcome, unfortunately, going on right now at Kingsley Elementary. We will continue to keep you in the loop if we receive any more updates on this. All right, so last night, if you joined us here on the First Alert Desk, you know that former President Donald Trump was rallying in Atlanta at Georgia State University with his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. They had a large presence not only inside of the Georgia State University Convocation Center, also outside as well. We had live team coverage for you with political reporter Doug Reardon and Atlanta News First Madeline Montgomery. And the former president being in town, some of his words have stirred up some controversy, and it's caused a reaction from some of our local lawmakers, including when he called out Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, calling him a, quote, bad guy on Truth Social, also echoing that in his speech yesterday. He also talked about Laken Riley, the nursing student who was murdered on University of Georgia's campus back in February, going so far as to say that there was blood on Vice President Kamala Harris's hands due to the Biden administration's handling of the situation at the border. So tonight, our reporter Joshua Skinner is going to be breaking down some of the reaction to this, and he is going to have more on what our local lawmakers are saying. But in order to get you up to speed, I want to go ahead and play reporter Doug Reardon's story from yesterday, just so you can get an idea of kind of the key takeaways from his speech last night.
It was a packed house here at the Georgia State University Convocation Center. Former President Trump always draws large crowds, but in front of this one, he not only attacked his new White House opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, but also some high-profile Georgia leaders. In a roughly 90-minute address Saturday,
he's the most disloyal guy I think I've ever seen.
Former President Donald Trump railed against Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp. Kemp's refusal to initiate a special legislative session after Trump lost Georgia in 2020 and claimed fraud has been a sore spot between the two men from the same party.
You can do a lot better, and you'll do a lot better with a better governor.
Even before Trump took the stage, the two were going back and forth online. Trump calling out Kemp and Georgia's First Lady, and in return, Kemp saying, quote, "My focus is on winning this November. Leave my family out of it." Trump also stuck to his regular rally attacks on his new White House opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, namely her role as the Biden administration's head of border security. Trump noting the instance of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley, who was killed on the University of Georgia campus in February. Her alleged killer was in the country illegally.
Kamala Harris let in the savage monster who murdered Laken Riley. Laken's blood is on Kamala Harris's hands, and she was in charge of the border.
Now, these campaigns aren't done with Georgia this month just yet. Vice President Kamala Harris will be hosting a rally on Friday in Savannah with her new running mate, who is expected to be announced any day. From the Summerhill neighborhood, Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
And on the other side of the ticket, we are also watching a visit from Vice President Kamala Harris that is going to be happening next week. We'll go ahead and play some video for you here. Georgia is staying, of course, at the forefront of the minds of both of these candidates. Vice President Kamala Harris visiting Savannah Friday for a campaign stop there. She is expected to bring her pick for vice president, someone that she is expected to announce any day now. So still no word on that yet, but of course, Atlanta News First will keep you updated on any breaking news there. All right, let's go ahead and turn now to a look outside. Let's look live over Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. And I'm going to turn things over to First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin, because, Cutter, you are keeping an eye on a lot of things going on.
Yeah, we have some spotty showers and thunderstorms locally. You can kind of see those building dark clouds at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Some of those clouds growing tall enough to produce some rain. Also, what we are watching is, of course, and this is no new news, Tropical Storm Debby forecast to become Hurricane Debby and forecast to make landfall along Florida's Big Bend late tonight, probably more likely into the day tomorrow. We have the latest on Debby, some new information coming in. Same old general threat, though, and that is the fact that it looks like we're going to be dealing with significant flooding across southern parts of the state of Georgia. So again, I'm First Alert meteorologist Cutter Martin. Just wanted to give you that quick update, solely focusing on Debby. How strong Debby is forecast to get, where landfall is most likely, while the extended part of the forecast is actually more uncertain than the next 12 to 24 hours, and how the state of Georgia and surrounding areas will be impacted by the system. Again, we're tracking it right now, spinning away here well to the south and southeast of Georgia. Has yet to make landfall in Florida. Of course, we are still many hours away from that. Structurally, this system is starting to look much better organized. In fact, I can go ahead and turn off the clouds, probably make radar more obvious, a little easier to see. And it is easier to see where that center of circulation is. Pausing radar here. After I kind of draw this on, see these arrows, see that counterclockwise flow with showers and thunderstorms trying to fully wrap back around on the south side of the system. So far we've had kind of an exposed center of circulation. Some dry air has been able to work its way into the center, and that has kind of choked it off a bit and kept it from strengthening rapidly. But now we're starting to see that structure improve a bit. We're seeing winds come up, pressure drop, and again, structurally, now that showers and thunderstorms are starting to wrap completely around the center, protecting it from any wind shear and dry air, we'll probably see a more steady rate of strengthening as we get into the evening, the overnight, and early morning hours tomorrow, leading up to a landfall. So again, latest on Debby, winds have come up a bit. Sustained winds are now 65 miles per hour, moving to the north-northwest at 13. Same general movement, generally northward over the next 12 hours or so, with a subtle bend back to the north and east as we get into the latter part of the forecast, really from landfall onward. You can see that now here in the forecast forecast to make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane between, let's say, Apalachicola and well to the north and west of Sarasota. You know, I'm not that familiar with this particular portion of the Florida coastline. As far as communities are concerned. In fact, one of the least populated stretches of coastline. That's one of the best bits of news here. Apalachicola is one of the biggest cities on the western end of the coastal bend. And then working our way south and eastward, you know, there's really not too much here. Cedar Key is about the biggest town there. And so between Cedar Key and Apalachicola, that is where the center of circulation is forecast to come inland. Now notice it's forecast to cross the Florida state line into far south Georgia Monday afternoon, Monday evening. And between Monday evening, let's say 7, 8 p.m., and Wednesday morning, 7, 8 a.m., it'll take the entirety of that, 36 or so hour period to work its way through south and coastal Georgia. And because of the slow movement, because of this strong onshore flow, remember counterclockwise flow around this tropical system, we're looking at a severe, if not historic, flooding threat evolving and developing across coastal Georgia and South Carolina, possibly up into North Carolina as well. 15 to 25 inches of rain looking pretty likely, isolated higher amounts. You see that brightest shade of yellow, including the Savannah Metro, including the Charleston Metro, all of the South Carolina low country, much of the coastal empire of Georgia, even back to Statesboro, Bullock County. If you had students at GSU, Georgia Southern in Statesboro, Bullock County, they will be at risk for flooding as well, on down towards Brunswick, Valdosta State, another school with many students once again on campus as we get into first week of August, folks coming back just before the official start of the calendar school year. And we get into middle Georgia, rain probably not quite as intense. You're a little further removed from that area of circulation, the center of circulation, I should say. And the risk of heavy rain starts to decrease, but it's still there. You get up to the city of Atlanta and you notice the legend up top. Some of us won't see much rain at all over the next 7 days. And this is forecast rainfall over the next 7 days, with the heaviest of the rain probably occurring within the next 3 to 5 days across the coastal empire of Georgia and the low country of South Carolina. This particular forecast issued by meteorologists at the Weather Prediction Center calling for 3 to 4 inches of rain down near Eatonton, really south of Lake St. Clair and Oconee and out of the Atlanta News First viewing area in Putnam County, Eatonton community, Lake St. Clair and Oconee, back over towards Monticello, Georgia, Butts County, Georgia, Jackson, Georgia, for example, maybe 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain total for the entire week. You can totally handle that. That would not cause flooding. However, there is some uncertainty in the first alert forecast. Some models, as this system kind of wobbles around, and I'll bring it back to that track here in just a moment, some models do want to bring greater amounts of rain into North Georgia Thursday into Friday. Some want to bring the system back out to the southwest Atlantic and then bring it back on land for, at that point, would be a second landfall, at least for the United States. Bring it back on land and bring some of that heavier rain westward into North Georgia, perhaps even metro Atlanta. Now, that's not necessarily the forecast yet, but that is a possibility, and we can't just take that possibility off the table just yet, as there is some data that suggests that that's possible, and looking at the steering currents out there, what's actually happening and what is forecast to happen, just it's a possibility. The movement of the system will probably be fairly erratic and a little bit uncertain. Again, bringing that track back up. You'll notice here as it moves through the state of Georgia, the center of circulation could be anywhere within this cone of uncertainties we get into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So just drawing it out for you and explaining this, that center of circulation could be anywhere in this vicinity between Wednesday evening and Friday morning. And if it were a little bit more inland over Georgia, we could see some of that rain, wrap back into parts of North Georgia. If it were further to the east up towards Myrtle Beach, we would be dry here in Metro Atlanta. In fact, we'd probably have more sunshine and a drier feeling air, lower humidity, and a nice breeze. So uncertainty in the forecast. We are by no means at greatest risk here in North Georgia, but just something to keep a casual eye on. We'll keep you updated here at Atlanta News First Plus on pretty much any streaming platform at AtlantaNewsFirst.com. We have lots of information coming your way. In fact, we're about to get some new information coming in to our newsroom. We're going to stream it live. A new update from the state. The Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency will be giving an update on their response, their planning, their preparation for Tropical Storm Debby, forecast to become Hurricane Debby, and forecast to produce severe, if not historic, flooding across southern and coastal portions of the state of Georgia. That is slated to start at 5 p.m. Of course, a lot going on with many state, county, local city agencies across the southern, half of the state, and they could always be a couple of minutes late. So do bear with us here, but we're going to start that stream about 5 p.m. here in 9 minutes. Latest from the state, their response as they prepare for Tropical Storm Debby. Again, we'll have that here streaming in about 9 minutes on Atlanta News First. Plus, full forecast coming your way here 6:30 on Atlanta News First. There is an update right now in the First Alert weather app, and we'll continue to track Debby this evening as we learn more tonight on Atlanta News First on Peachtree TV, Atlanta CW affiliate at 10 p.m., and then back on with Karli Barnett, Atlanta News First at 11 p.m. with that late evening track update as well. Again, more information coming your way here, top of the 5 o'clock hour.